You may have seen this viral video over the past couple of years. If not, please watch it. And even if you did, please watch it again. We're going to be discussing that today on the subject of Texas schools.
My name is Greg Barrett. I graduated from KSD in 1983. I started in 1975 with Mr. Lance. My legal name is Greg Gay. I was bullied, unbelievably bullied. I started out and I had teachers that bullied me. I had kids that bullied me. Even the coaches, I had nobody to turn to. One day at lunch, I had my head shoved in the urinal where it busted my lip. I had laid on the ground in a fetal position as the kids kicked me. I got up, I rinsed my face off, I walked out of the lunchroom, walked straight to the principal's office, and he told me, these kids will grow up someday. They won't always be like this. But yet, here I am, covered in urine from laying on the ground underneath the urinal. My lip was busted, and they sent me home. Well, I went home, and I got the .45 out of my father's drawer and put it in my mouth. Because at this point, I had nobody in the school system to help me. Is that the way this is going to be? Lance, you were the one that shoved my head in the urinal. Thank you.
Tell you what, this is unbelievable.
So that was Katy ISD Superintendent Lance Hint that was accused of bullying that man mercilessly. And after these allegations came out, the superintendent was forced to resign from Katy ISD, but the school staff still supported him. That's right, not only did they support him and cheer for him, but they also set aside money so that he could sue his victim for defamation. That's the kind of support these schools offer. They 100% back the authorities in charge, allowing them to get away with anything without any form of accountability whatsoever. It's like Texas schools are run by children or bullies, actually literally a bully. After he tried to deny it, many people did come out in support of the victim of that bullying and said, no, Lance was a bully. In fact, he was even sued for being a bully for beating a man unconscious, including an Alabama judge who stood up for the victim as well. At first, Lance had no intention of apologizing, and he continued to call it smear campaigns to bring further harm to his victims, until he finally admitted to it and apologized. But the weird thing isn't that he bullied someone. That isn't weird. It isn't weird that someone had a passive bullying. It's not. What's weird is how the school immediately defended him and how they set aside taxpayer money to sue the victim. No interest in investigating, no interest in the truth, only interested in protecting their own. The teachers and staff celebrated him. They don't care about your kids. They do not care about your kids. They have you all focus on what books your kids are reading. Maybe they'll learn too much about the history of this country. Maybe they'll learn about people who are different than them. Maybe they'll learn about people who love other people and try to convince you that that is the real harm in schools. But if someone touches your kid inappropriately, whether it be sexually or physically violent, you know who won't have your kids back? You know who will fund the abuser to sue your kid if they say anything? Do you know why the parents didn't press charges after Coach Aaron Delatorre beat him up in front of 9 witnesses and caught on CCTV several cameras? Because they implement the same exact strategy. Now let's travel to Coppell ISD. I covered this story 2 years ago. It was a case of bullying. Simple story. I did not identify the children, but I did identify the school because of the way they handled this. If they would just address their issues properly, there would never be so much attention, media attention. But because they refuse accountability for abusers, it's shocking, and they become newsworthy stories. Like this one, which I'm now realizing why the parents told me to back off when we had so much momentum against the school. Go ahead and watch this video, and I'll tell you the update on what ended up happening.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, geez. Oh. Oh.
I will not be identifying the people in the video because they are minors. Instead, I wanted to talk about Coppell ISD's response to bullying here. So how did the district respond after seeing this video? They gave an in-school suspension of 1 day to the aggressor and an in-school suspension of 3 days to the victim. Why? Why was the victim punished more harshly than the aggressor? Also, it's not for nothing. Take a look at this. I'm just saying. But I'm not going to sit back and allow the school district to join in on the bullying of this brown kid. And I've already asked all my followers on Twitter to tag every single news outlet they can in the Coppell, Texas area. You will answer for this. We had tons of media attention on that story. My video had 10 million views on TikTok. The school district was forced to answer to this. And then suddenly, one day, I just get contacted by the victim's family and they say, please drop the case. They're threatening to take it out on our kid. I didn't really understand that back then, but now it makes a lot of sense what happened. Coppell ISD silenced that family because of the bully's dad, Sam Wellington, and his connections. And they wanted to protect that family, so they likely threatened the victims, as they have been doing, over and over and over at all these ISD schools. Here's another person who reached out to me recently. They went to Katy ISD as a black kid who was being racially abused at school, being threatened, belittled, degraded. He didn't want to go there anymore. But of course, as you know, if the school were to record these racist incidents, they would lose funding. So instead, what did they do? They blamed the kid. And the parents literally had to hire a lawyer before they allowed the kid to transfer to get away from all the hate. These school districts do not have your children's best interests at heart. They don't have anything at heart but money. Lawsuits are the only thing they respond to. I can help fund lawsuits. Coach Aaron did do what he's accused of doing. Those parents were pressured into not pressing charges. Just as school districts all around Texas have done to parents every time one of their teachers fuck up. These schools literally make every problem worse. Like take this guy, for example. He would have been done and over with had he said, yeah, I was a bully in the past. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been that way. I've grown a lot since then. Really, honestly, that's it. Say that, he could have kept his job. He could have kept his position, and he would have kept and retained public trust. But no, he went and attacked the victim. It was proven that he was wrong, and the school never offered any sort of sympathy or apology or anything. They'll probably shut out the victim from attending anything at those schools, any events or anything like that. Coach Teagle, who's charged with 2 felonies for molesting children at a different high school, used to work at Denton ISD, and when he was reported back then, the school covered it up, and because they covered it up and didn't address it, he went on to molest children at another school. They're directly responsible for that inaction. Coach Andrews from Ryan High, the same high school that Coach Aaron is currently at, he was accused of having a sexual relationship with a child for years, and it was reported to the principal early on, but nothing was done for years. In fact, when the principal here, Vernon Reeves, had to let him go, he waited until after the fall season was over, and when he told parents about it, he wouldn't even name the offender in the email. All these stories have one thing in common. They're easily solvable by literally any school. All they have to do is hold the offenders accountable and stop protecting abusers. Why they go through so much trouble and create mountains out of molehills, make huge stories out of these little stories, I have no idea why. The same thing happened here with Coach Aaron, because they did not want to hold him accountable. Because the victim was pressured into saying no crime occurred. Now it's become really big news. Now it's the only thing we're talking about on my page. Because they chose to cover it up. Because covering up a crime like that is way bigger news. You drew so much attention to yourselves. I cannot believe a school would openly do this, and then you just look in their past and go, oh, they've been openly doing this kind of thing for a long time. And yes, I have many other people who have reached out to me that go to these ISDs, whether it's Katy or Denton, with many stories of schools attempting to silence them. And I'll be telling the stories. Because the culture in the schools at Texas, where they value bullies and silence victims, needs to change immediately. It is not grooming when a trans person comes to your school to read you a story. It is grooming when there's literally pedos teaching at your school and then the district defends them. That's grooming. That's putting your kids in danger. And if you actually cared about them, if you actually care, you would be absolutely outraged that these schools are incapable of taking accountability and always back the abuser, whether they're a pedo, whether they're violent. Where's the Save the Children people? Where's Libs of TikTok? Where are all those people who care about grooming in schools? Where are they? Where are they? They don't care about bettering their schools. They just want to control your kids. The protest at Ryan High School is tomorrow from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m., hosted by parents of Denton ISD. I recommend you be there. Show them support. It'll be a peaceful protest unless Coach Aaron shows up, because who knows what he'll do to the kids. We won't. The school will cover it up. All these parents who've been victims of these cover-ups, if you can afford it, sue the district. All of you, at once. Right now is a great time to strike.